the Flask Microframework. Welcome to your last session in this Python course. Today you will learn about Flask, we'll learn to set it up, and we'll build a simple Hello Flask program in it. We'll see some variable rules, URL building, and some HTTP methods. Flask is a micro web framework and is written in Python. It first showed up in 2010, developed by Armin Ronisher. We call it a microframework because it does not need particular tools or libraries. It also does not have a database abstraction layer or form validation, but lets us use pre-existing third-party libraries and some extensions that can add application features. Flask is used by big names like Pinterest and LinkedIn. To set up an environment for Flask on your machine, you'll need to install Flask and virtual env. Let's first learn to create a virtual environment for our project. Install virtual env with pip. Now in the command prompt, get to the desktop, create the directory project X, get to this directory, create a new virtual environment, and then activate it. And then we install Flask using pip. We're done setting everything up. Now let's begin. We created a folder project X on the desktop. In this folder, we'll create a file demo.py. This is what it holds. App is a Flask object. It acts as a central registry for the view functions, the URL rules, and much more. We pass name to it so it knows where to find resources. This is the current module's name. The root method is a decorator that registers a view function for a given URL rule. We apply this to the sayHello function. Run runs the application on a local development server. Then we execute this file demo.py. From the output, we take the address and get to where it takes us in the browser. We get something like this. Hello. We'll see more on this in the practice session. Flask also lets us dynamically build URLs. We can put variables in URLs using angular brackets in the rules. Here the function add adds two values. For this we define a rule 1 add 2. So if the user types in 2 add 3 after the address, it gives us 2 plus 3 is 5. And if we make just a little change to the code, it also lets us add floats. We'll do this in the practice session. Using the URL for and redirect functions, we can explicitly redirect to a certain URL. Lastly, we have many different HTTP methods that let us retrieve data from a URL. Get sends data to the server unencrypted. We can often see this in the URL bar as part of the query string. Head is the same but has no response body. In a POST request, the server does not cache the HTML form data it sends. Put uses uploaded content to replace the current representations of the target resource, and delete removes the current representations of the target resource suggested by a URL. By default, root takes GET requests, but we can change this. Say this is the form we have. We have two inputs for first name and for the submit button. And the form sends a POST request and takes us to the login page. And we have two functions in demo.py, success and login. Success prints a greeting and login redirects to success with whatever first name we use. So we get to the login form, we type in Ayushi. When we hit submit, it takes us to the success page and prints out the success message. Exciting? Let's actually implement this in the practice session now.